So let's have a little chat, shall we? A little occult wisdom chat. Let's have a little chat. I want to talk about the importance of the power, rather, of having a voice or being the voice. It's not just about singing. You know, they used to call the late, great Whitney Houston the voice. And they called her that not just because of her singing, but because of her articulation and how her voice could open up dimensions and cause reverberations across the dimensions. I have that voice. I do. Yesterday, after I did the video about elders, not right after I did the video, I received a phone call from my uncle, an uncle that I've mentioned before that I really have never gotten along with. But here lately, we kind of been getting along a little bit. I don't talk to him every day. I don't call him all the time. That's just the way that it is. But let's just say we're cordial. All right. And we had an open, honest conversation last night. And it was very, very enlightening. And it gave me a lot of information, and I gave him a lot of information as well. You see, I always do things for spiritual reasons. And your voice and your mind go hand in hand when it comes to manifestation. And when it comes to, excuse me, shifting and changing the dimensional energies around you. So we had a conversation, and he apologized to me without me asking, because I don't look for people to apologize to me. Now, I'm not trying to be a cold person, but apologies, I'm not really interested in those like that. And I don't really offer them unless it's really necessary, because I'm not with the forgive and forget stuff in the context of Christianity. Let's just say that. That's not me. And that's not being bitter. That's being better and better and better and better and better. It's not being bitter, it's being better than that. Let's get that straight. He apologized for some of the things he did to me when he was on drugs. No sexual abuse or anything like that. Let me be clear. But I told him straight up, I said, your issue was you were on drugs. You were on drugs, and that made you into a person. I said, I never had an issue with you until you got on the drugs, Uncle Dearest. It was the drugs. And he listened and accepted that. And I was really shocked, because most people will try to fight you on it, and then they will try to throw things at you. Oh, well, you did this or you did that. But there's nothing that he can say that I did. Now, even though I don't really see my oldest niece and nephew anymore like that, because they have issues with their father, my brother, they can never say that this uncle, me, they can never say that I did anything to them to harm them. I was always good to my niece and nephew, always. They can't say I did anything to them. I never beat them. I never cursed at them. I may have yelled at them a couple of times to make them mine, but I never abused them. And, you know, I really believe that when you go through certain things, like if you had a rotten mother or a rotten father or a rotten family in general, and then when you become older, you are the opposite of what you were treated like, or you treat your children and your nieces and nephews differently. See, I didn't carry that curse. I broke it because I didn't treat my nieces and nephews the way my uncles and aunts treated me. I didn't treat them like that. I made up in my mind and in my soul and spirit, I was going to be better. Remember, it's not about being bitter, it's about being better. So when someone calls you bitter, just say, no, I'm not bitter, I'm better. So when he apologized, I paused and I listened to what he had to say. Because again, apologies are not necessary. Apologies are not necessary for me anymore. I know they're necessary for other people, but they're not really necessary for me anymore where I'm at in my life. And that's not to say that they don't make you feel good, but at the end of the day, even that will pass away. It's not about being bitter, it's about being better. Remember that. So we talked and I gave him information about, things that happened to me at the hands of other family members, abuse, emotional abuse, mainly emotional abuse and psychological abuse. And that is the worst kind. That is really the worst kind of abuse. Because emotional and psychological abuse is almost like spiritual abuse, attacking your spirit. Attacking the very foundation that you're built on, trying to destabilize you. But it never works. So me and my uncle, we talked for a long time. And what I realized in that conversation is that all of these years, you could have squashed this all of these years ago. I mean, a long time ago, excuse me. You could have squashed this we could have squashed this years ago. And I think it's unfortunate that it took all of these years. And I know what people are going to say, well, it doesn't matter when. Well, it does. Because we don't have a lot of time in this realm. Life is short, as everyone wants to keep reminding people life is short. To me, I don't feel like life is short. I don't feel that way. But I'm just saying that for the sake of saying it. I don't feel like life is short. I don't feel that way. I don't have those linear emotions because I am in another dimension. Because I'm not bitter. I'm better. And what that taught me is that you have to face that which has offended you, that which has caused you pain. You have to face that. And sometimes the universe or spirit will bring you back around to people, even though you don't like them people. So you can get the justice that you deserve. And you know what? That particular uncle, he's talking about putting me in his will now. or leaving me something when he passes away. And I'm not really looking forward to that. I'm not hurrying his death. And years ago, I used to couldn't stand him. Years ago, I would be rushing it. So, oh hey, I'm doing a video. Oh, what you want to give me something? Okay. So that taught me, where was I? That taught me that that is the justice that I speak about all the time. That is why I say revenge is okay in its own place and time, but I go after justice. And last night I got justice because I'm not bitter, I'm better. And what's interesting was I started not to answer because I was sleepy and I really didn't feel like talking. I was getting ready to go to bed. I took my vitamin D, and I was ready to go to sleep. Vitamin D makes me feel good. It puts you in a chill type of state. Get more vitamin D, okay? And I'm talking about the actual pill vitamins because I ain't talking about no, I'm talking about the actual pill vitamins, okay? So that just shows the power and the inner power that we have to shift and change our own dimensions and reality. This isn't about me forgiving everything. I accepted his apology, but this is not about forgiveness because you can never forgive because it's already done what the person has done to you. And that includes things I may have done to other people. They can never forgive because you can't take back what you've done. What you can do, as you can say, listen, I accept your apology. I accept that you were at that place in your life. And that was a lesson I had to go through spiritually. I'm a soldier in this motherfucking shit. I'm not no weak motherfucking person. I'm a soldier in this. I'm an old soul. And older souls normally have, and I'm speaking layman, but older, more advanced spirits have more complex lives. We don't eat cherries and bonbons, and we don't get that. We don't get to live in the big mansions, and we don't get that a lot of times because that's not what the universe put us here for. The universe put us here to do some real motherfucking work because we're not bitter, we are better. We're not bitter, we're better. Because the work that we do is worth trillions of dollars. It's worth more than, not trillions of dollars, but it has so much more value than gold. We are worth more value than gold. The people that do the work that we do, whether it be you're doing work for people spell wise, whether you're doing whatever you're doing, the work that we do is valuable. And I'm talking about the real ones, not the fucking fake ones. The real ones. The shit that we do is very important. And it has really, it's beyond any value you can think of. And that is how you have to think about yourself. Despite what others may think of you, despite how they may even view you. Sometimes you have to accept that people will see you a certain way, but you don't have to take their motherfucking shit. As long as you know who you are. Just like when I went to my family cookout not that long ago, there was a family friend that came up to me and was saying some shit to me that he wasn't disrespectful, of course, but he was saying shit to me that Really, he had no place to say. He was out of line and out of motherfucking pocket. He wasn't nasty. I don't think it came from a malicious place, but sometimes niggas don't know what to say out their fucking mouth. That's why they get popped in their mouth a lot of fucking times, because they're always speaking out of place. I don't speak out of place. I don't walk up to people trying to put spells on them and tell them who I think they are. You don't know me. Claude, that's his name, Claude. You don't know me like that. You're friends with my family. And where is this effervescent wisdom when you keep choosing, when you are choosing these women that you keep choosing, and now you had to move from DC down to South or North Carolina to live with your brother because you were with a woman who you were not compatible with. And from what I understand, the woman that he was with, everybody wants to blame her. But from what I understand, from what my uncle told me last night, see, this is why, when Spirit says pick up that phone, you need to pick up that phone. I got a lot of information last night. My uncle explained to me that the woman that he was with is actually a good woman. She ain't perfect, but she's actually pretty good. But my aunt and the rest of them who like this Claude person, they want to say, oh, she's this, she's a bitch, she's that. But what about him? What about him? They're always so quick. And I tell you, they're always so quick, especially the women here in DC. I don't get you all. You're always so quick to point the finger at another woman, but you're not looking at him. And this isn't to say that men are bad or nothing like that, but what about him? What about the things he probably did that contributed to the deterioration of that marriage? Now I did hear that one of her sons spit on him. I don't know why. We don't know why. We only know his side of the story, but we don't know her side of the story. That is why it's important to not be bitter, but to be better. So when people have ideas and ideologies about you, let them have it. Let them have it. Let them have those ideas and ideologies about you. Let them have them. Because if you're better, it won't affect you. This dude, Claude, was talking that shit to me. It was going in one ear and going out the other one. While he was touching my breast, by the way. Calling himself some Uncle Claude. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. While he was grazing up against my breast. On my chest. All hugged up with me. Couldn't keep his hands off of me. Yeah, I said it. Let people think what they want. As long as they don't try to manifest that and manifest it and bring it to you to cause you harm or to get in your spiritual way. I walk with my head high. People tell me that I walk like I own the world because they tell me that I walk so up. People tell me that I'm uppity. And I'm probably a little uppity. You're right. And that's my prerogative. That is my prerogative to be uppity. I may be uppity and I may be a little bougie, but I don't think that I'm better than anybody. I just think that I'm better. And I'm better than bullshit. That's what I'm talking about. Not better than people, because I don't care how much money you got. One day you might have to ask somebody on the street to give you a cup of water. You ain't never too better. You ain't never too good. It's not that type of thinking that I'm referring to, so don't get it misconstrued. I'm talking about being better than the bullshit that people throw at you because they're insecure in their lives, because their lives are not going the way that they should. Like this person, Claude, who walked up to me and said something to me at my family's function. His life is not going the way that it should. He had to uproot and move down to South Carolina because his marriage didn't work out. It was a failure. Sounds like a hex and a curse to me, nigga. Sounds like a hex and a curse to me, especially because you had to go move with your brother and his wife, and she's wondering when you fucking leaving. Don't play with me. Now, the only reason I did not make a scene at my family's cookout because I hadn't been around them in a long time and I didn't want to make a scene. So I let this nigga say what he had to say. But what he said was just nothing. It was nothing that he hadn't heard from my relatives, which is fine. Which is fine because I'm getting all of that energy to understand how they feel about me. And the one person that I did not like, the one that I adamantly did not like, this uncle who called me last night, is the one who really liked me the most. He liked me the most. But the problem was his drug use. Out of all of my aunts and uncles, out of all of my uncles, really, he liked me the most. He had the most invested in me. He had the most, he had the nicest things to say about me. The one that I did not like, the one that I did not care for. But it wasn't that I didn't care for him. He was on drugs. He was on drugs. He was on crack. And he was an alcoholic. And those combinations create a motherfucking demonic motherfucking monster. He's no longer on those things. So now the real person that I knew prior to that, now that person is present and accounted for. So it just made me think. It made me know, and it helped me to grow. And I got the justice that I so rightfully deserved. I didn't know he thought those nice things about me. I didn't think he liked me at all. So that's why people have to stop sending mixed messages to people as well. Either, I mean, like, I didn't know he liked me because his actions back then when I was a teenager showed me otherwise. I didn't know he liked me. And I told him that. I said, I didn't know you liked me. I didn't know you felt that way about me. I didn't know. I didn't know that you thought that I was this, wonderful person that had all this talent. I didn't know you felt that way about me because you did not show that. And see, sometimes, and I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes with black men, with straight black men, sometimes they have an issue with communication. How they may feel may not come out of their mouth the way that it's supposed to. They may say awful things to you and they may treat you awfully, but maybe deep down inside that may not be exactly how they feel. And in his case, it was something that was controlling him. Now, I didn't get into all of the shit that he done to me. I didn't go down a list, because I don't have that type of patience. But I told him the gist of it was your drug use. I said, you were nasty and mean because you were on drugs. Now, can you deal with that? And there were some things he told me. He said, if I had known that such and such relative had put their hands on you and hit you or beat you, I would have killed that motherfucker. I didn't know that. I didn't know that I had that type of protection because you did not display that. Your emotions told me something differently. You said you basically showed you didn't give a fuck about me. So that is why I did not really put you in a good place in my mind because you were on those drugs. You were on those drugs. And no one can compete with crack. You can't compete with crack. You cannot compete with alcoholism. I'm not talking about taking a sip of wine. That's not alcoholism. I'm talking about drinking all the time where it is causing problems for you and other people around you. I don't have those types of people around me. And I don't want them around me. And they will not be around me at all. And I don't give a fuck who has a problem with that. It's not the person, it's the drug use. It's that demon. That is a demon or a daemon. Alcoholism is a daemon. Crack is a daemon. Food can be a daemon if you allow it to control you. There are all types of daemons. But they have no power unless you give it to them. And we give our power over to these daemons. And that's why you can't be bitter. That's why you have to be better. And that is why I got the justice that I needed. No, everything's not going to be perfect. But at least now I have a better understanding of things. Because information is wisdom and power and knowledge. He told me some things on that phone last night that I'm not going to even repeat. But I wanted to come through to show people that this is the work. This is not just basic surface level, mediocre, everything is all forgiven type of work, because it's not that simple. This is part of my spiritual journey. This is how your heart becomes light as a feather. This is really the work that you do so you don't carry around bitterness. Now, sometimes bitterness is necessary if it's defensive. I get that. Sometimes, it's defensive, especially for women sometimes, especially for black women. People say black women are bitter and all this, but what have they been through? What made that person that way? Like, for example, what made the Wicked Witch of the West what she was? Because she became a bitter witch. That's what that green represented. It represented the heart chakra being shut off. And that's because her sister tricked her into eating that green apple. But the roots were already sowed because she felt like her heart was broken by the wizard. Going back to Oz the Great and Powerful, which was the prequel to the Wizard of Oz. So you have to understand what makes people what they are. Same thing with flowers in the attic. Same thing with flowers in the attic. People called the grandmother mean, she was horrible, or whatever the case may be. But in actuality, they just did a prequel all about the grandmother and flowers in the attic. And they showed you the subconscious reason why she was the way that she was. Before she married Malcolm Foxworth, before she married that sick, demented, misogynist, undercover homosexual, because that's what he really was, subliminally, before she married him, she was a happy, successful woman. She helped her father run his business. She was smart. She was intelligent. But then when she married him, he sucked all that from her. He saw the potential in her and he sucked it all from her and turned her into the bitter woman that she was. But it was a defense mechanism. It was defense. And I'm not making excuses, but I'm showing you there are levels to this. That was a defense mechanism. That bitterness was defense because she had been abused and misused by all of the men around her. Her cousin even tried to rape her. Her husband raped her. because he had an obsession with rape. He raped his own mother, for Christ's sake. So you always have to go back to the origins or the genesis of what makes people who they are or what caused it. I got my justice, part of it. It ain't over yet. It's not over yet. But I got the justice that I needed. And I have to commend him in some ways for at least being man enough to apologize. I have to commend him for that. At least he apologized. It may not make much of a difference 30 some years later. It may not make much difference now. But at least he apologized. And, there's some things that his memory is not really correct on, but I didn't correct him right then and there, because it's been so many years. 30 years is a lifetime. It's a lifetime. But that is when I say justice, why I like justice more than revenge, that's why I like justice. That is why I like justice. Because justice is permanent. Justice is like judgment. It's permanent. And once you get it, there is no turning back. Revenge is just in the moment. But I like justice. And you can tie justice into revenge if it's necessary. But last night on that phone, I feel like I got justice. And more is to come. And that's what this work is all about. So when I say apologies are not necessary, it's not because I'm holding my nose up in the air thinking that no, it's not that. It's just that where I'm at in my spiritual growth or my spiritual path, apologies are no longer necessary. They're no longer necessary for me. I'm not speaking for anybody else because I'm on a different level than you and Betty Sue and anybody else. And this is not I'm better than, no, it's nothing like that. Nobody is, no, it's nothing like that. We're all on our own different individual path. You do what you do, I do what I do. You know what I'm saying? So I got the justice. And it doesn't mean I'm going to be best friends with him. He trying to get me to come over there today. No, I'm not coming over there today. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean any of that. Doesn't mean that we're going to be best friends. It just doesn't mean any of that. It just means that I have an understanding now. That's all it means. That's all it means. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. Because I found that interesting after I did my video that came about. And no, my uncle don't watch my channel. Don't know none of my family. They don't know nothing about my channel. I keep that very, very restrictive. And even if they did, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Watch, because I'm going to say what the fuck I want to. This is my space. This is my motherfucking place and home. This is my realm. And I say and do what the fuck I want. And I don't care if it offends him. I don't care if it offends my family. I don't care if it offends the people that is watching. I'm going to say what the fuck I want to. And ain't nobody going to stop me from fucking talking. You understand me? Nobody. Like it, love it, hate it, fuck it, tuck it. I really don't give a fuck. But if you get something out of it, then that's wonderful. And I'm really appreciative of that. But I don't give a fuck who has an issue with what I'm saying. Because you ain't going to do shit about it. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I got my justice. I got my justice. And that is all that I really want, truthfully, putting the curse words aside. That's all I really want to see for people. I really want to see people get their justice. The people that, I talk to here on YouTube sometimes, the people that I talk to on a regular basis, I want to see you get your justice because you deserve that. You deserve to get your justice. You deserve to get your peace. And the people that have wronged you, they're going to be forced one way or another, whether they're here on earth or in the spiritual realm, they're going to be forced. They're going to give you your justice. Now, when they're in the spirit, you may not get it the way that you want, but they're going to be forced to give you your justice. You're going to get it. It just may not happen oftentimes the way that we want. Like he's talking about, well, if anything happens to me, I'm going to put your name down. He has children. And I was like, well, you don't have to do that, but he was like, no, I'm going to put your name down on my policy. So if anything happens to me, I was like, well, you really don't have to do that. Because I'm not, listen, I'm not for people's money. I ain't sitting around waiting for nobody to die to get their fucking insurance policy because I could die before him. That's number one. And number two, I'm just not that type of person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that type of person. I'm not sitting around waiting for people to die to get their insurance money. Because, contrary to some of the things I talk about on my channel, I like people more than I do money. I like people more than I do money. I appreciate people more than I do money. Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have love and people around you, they lift you higher, that are genuinely concerned and love you. If you don't have those type of people around you, money don't matter, not one iota. Not one iota. Money does not fucking matter. So sitting around waiting for people to die to get their money, that's just not me. Money does not, I don't chase money. Money chases me. Okay? I don't chase money. And that's just not something, even when my mother wants to talk about her insurance policy and all that, I'll be like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I'm not sitting around waiting for people to die to get their money. I just don't, that's just not me. I feel very uncomfortable with that. Not about death, because death is something that we are all going to have to face. It's no sense in being afraid of it. It's no sense in shying away from it. I get that. But then talking about, well, you'll get some money. I don't care nothing about that. I don't care if it's $1 billion. That cannot replace the person that you loved. That's not going to replace that person. And at some point, when you have all that money, you're going to think about the person that really left it to you and how they're no longer around. I'd rather have decent, kind, genuine people who lift me higher than someone's insurance money. I'd rather have that. So when he said that to me, that it made me uncomfortable. I was like, you don't really have to do that. You have children and, you leave that to your son and your daughter. And he is, but he wants to include me in that. But I don't, but then again, maybe that's part of the justice. Maybe that's part of the justice. I told my mother about it. She said, are you a fool? I said, no, I ain't no fool. But I said, well, I'm not into that. I'm not into getting people's money and waiting. I'm just not into that. That's really just not my thing. That's really just not my thing. Because I like people more. Not all people, but certain people. So I just wanted to come through and say that. I think that needs to be said because people deserve their justice. They deserve to get their justice and they deserve to get their peace. And sometimes in getting that, you may have to face those who have committed an injustice against you. You may have to face them again, but you do it in spirit time. Excuse me, drinking some water. I had an apple for breakfast. I like to eat light in the morning. I eat very light in the morning. I have fruit like blackberries. Yesterday I had blackberries, or an apple or something really light and healthy in the morning. I like that. But I just wanted to come through. Wanted to say that I'm not bitter. You're not bitter. You're better. You're better. Thank you.